So when you have these type of opportunities and you have this type of knowledge, it's time to turn some of this illegal money to legit money. And this has been showing other ways that you could progress. Okay, you could, you know what I mean? Like, I can make movies, you know what I mean? I can make music. Okay, pimps and hoes listen to my music, you know what I mean? Shit,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
pimping a hoe. Who listens to pimp hop, pimps and hoes. Well, a lot of squares been listening lately too. That's why we've been getting into the millions. But like, like okay, who watches these things? The community watches these. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm just supplying, you know what I mean, content for this community. And when I was in that game, you know what I mean, that's what I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch pimp movies. I wanted to watch, you know what I mean, listen to pimp music. You know what I mean? I wanted to wear pimp clothes. It was just pimp, 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 ho, ho, ho. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I could think of. You feel me? So I'm just doing my greatest hits. You feel me? You're showing that there's all type of shit like on part two, we're showing how you have a luxury. It was like a lingerie store. You know what I mean? That was on Fig. You know what I
Okay.
mean? For
Yeah.
females
Yeah.
and
Yeah. For
stuff like
sure.
that. And you know what I mean? Somebody invested in something like that. Like there's a lot of ways to invest in. You know what I mean? In a game. You know what I mean? With clothing lines and da da da. And we could get legit. You know what I mean? And get in and get out. You feel me? Just like after the slavery, we had to be black independent owners because nobody was hiring us. You feel me? Same as with the game. You feel me? Ain't nobody hiring us for our record. You know what I mean? And what we've
Hmm.
been through. We ain't had no
Yeah.
job. We ain't had no. You know what I mean? We've been out here doing our greatest hits. You feel me? So we have to make our own businesses. You feel me? But by that way, we're gonna keep the money in. You know what I mean? The community where everybody's gonna be able to do their greatest hits, and you know what I mean? In that in that middle class could progress into that. You know what I mean? Upper
Hmm.
class. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
in
No,
a
for
lot
sure.
of pips and
No,
O's, you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? In that generation, yeah, I could definitely say if you're making over 100,000, you're upper class, and the most raggedy, funkiest bitch is making 10 bands a month. That's 100,000 a year, and you know what I mean. So I can see why that hates some yipping because even the you know what I mean. The
That
average
part.
motherfucker, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
At the worst, is
Yeah.
pimp
Yeah.
is doing better
Yeah.
than a lot of these motherfuckers, man.
No, for sure. For
So
sure.
imagine a motherfucker, you know what I mean? The ones that pimps is making 100,000 a month. You know what I mean? Three, you know what I mean? You got one bitch making $1,000 a day. You know what I mean? That's 30 bands a month. You know what I mean? You got three of
Hmm.
those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's 100 bands. You know what I mean? That's $1 million in a year. You know what I mean? So you can see why motherfuckers can hate on this game. You know what I mean? Because they think
Oh, it's
they
prosperous. It's
money stuff
prosperous for
easy.
sure.
It
Yeah.
ain't easy. Pimping ain't easy, but it's fun. You know what I mean? They think that
Yeah.
motherfuckers don't have a job. Like, oh, these motherfuckers just sit on their ass all day and da 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 da. Nah, it's nothing like that. Pimping is a full time CEO motherfucking job. You know what I mean? Where you have to motherfucking work your motherfucking ass off. A lot of motherfuckers want to be pimps, but they don't want to pimp. They want to do
Hmm.
no pimp. You know what I mean? That's all the money that's supposed to fall in their
Yeah.
hand. They don't want to go do their greatest hits. They don't want to say, this year, do this, do this, do this, all the shit that require. I mean, you have to do some working. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you might even
Yeah.
have to phone and do some texting. You know what I mean? You have to do some work, and this ain't easy. You have to get this. You want
Yeah.
some money? You feel me? You got to be working 10 times harder than these hoes.
No,
You
for
feel me?
sure.
So this pimping ain't easy. Like nigga, this shit, bitch, that ain't giving over money. That's why a lot of niggas don't want to be pimps.